We're still at the ballots, giving you a blow-by-blow account of how Nigerians are exercising their franchise right here on iBrandTV. Nigeria decides 2023. And of course, Adeyemi is still with us, still looking at some of the issues happening across the country. But right now, the update we're getting is that the three major candidates in Lagos State have now cast their ballot. And of course, voting is on the way in different parts of the state. Different local government, and we're seeing that the turnout isn't as much as it was during the February 25th election, but of course Nigerians are still trooping out there to exercise their franchise. But it's funny that, yes, we've been talking about a three-horse race. There are women in Lagos State, female candidates in Lagos State, but it looks like we don't talk about them. You'd recall that during the presidential elections also, we had female presidential candidates, that's Chichi Ojei of the APM, who got about 25,000 votes, which is impressive, by the way, because if you look at the trajectory, right from time in 2011, we had Sarah Jibril, who had about 1 or 2 votes. So are things improving?
Yeah, I would say things are improving, but I think women should do more. Yeah.
Is it about the women doing more, or those who the patriarchs?
Yeah, we need to focus on the women.
Should make it easier for the women, or are you saying that the women aren't pushing enough?
I think I won't say the women aren't pushing enough. I think parties should come from the part of looking at giving chance to the women, you know. But again, we need to look at which level should this happen. First, do we have women that are local government chairmen? Yes, we have women sitting in Senate, and the number in the Senate now seems to reduce, you know, and the House of Representatives. And I don't think that is a good message for the women. We have women who are capable of being leaders in this country. I think they should be given more chance, and that will come from the party. We cannot choose for, you know, the party who they should bring up, but I think they should start thinking in that line. However, there are certain limitations that society places on women, coming from the part of tradition and religion. You know, there are major limitations that we should also look at in this part of the world, where people will sit down and say, no, a woman cannot be a leader. And I mean, the question is, what makes you think a woman cannot be a leader?
We would focus on that cultural barrier, but let's look at this political situation, especially seeing that in Lagos State, we have at least 2 female candidates. One is from the APM. I can't remember the party of the other woman. Why isn't there so much noise around? Are they the ones not making the noise, or are they being shut down by some of these factors you've mentioned?
No, that before you can bring up that, if one of the women you mentioned is coming under either PDP, APC, or LP, which are the 3 major parties, then we can be having a different conversation. Yeah, but first you need to look at the strength of the party. You need to look at the influence of the woman herself within the states. So these women you mentioned, probably if you mention their names, people may not be able to relate with them. But if there are people that you know, people know within Lagos that they are powerful, you know, they are very, very influential that way, even the parties will start looking at, you know, bringing them closer and also advancing them to become the governor or something.
Indeed.
Yeah. So
because if you look at a state like Adamawa, you have the APC fielding a female candidate, quite impressive. Benani, she is quite popular when it comes to politics, and she was able to beat people like the former EFCC chairman Ribadu to the game, and she became the APC candidate. We also have another prominent woman in one other state, but looking at
Cross River.
Yeah. No, River State. So who is also, you know, vying for that position. So it's looking like some women are actually, you know, making that crossroad or making that headway, trying to break that glass ceiling. But that barrier, you talked about culture earlier. There's also that culture of silence where the woman shouldn't talk too much. And then political parties come up and say, we're not ready for a female candidate. Even in the United States, you'd recall during former President Donald Trump's tenure, when he was campaigning, there were talks about how Hillary Clinton would not win because even the biggest, you know, democracy one of the biggest democracies, America, isn't ready for a female president.
Yeah, we wouldn't say America isn't ready because
I'm saying that was the notion in some circles.
Absolutely, you're very correct. But you see, by popular vote, Hillary Clinton won, but by the Electoral College, Donald Trump won, which decided whatever happens. But let's just come down here in Nigeria. The woman in Adamawa, I really want to give credit to her because she's quite very strong, you know, in terms of her political clout and capability, and she's somebody I strongly believe in can deliver results. You get my point? Now, I think that should start creating a space for what I call political mentorship for women. Most people that advance their political career do have political mentors, you know, so can that be created for the women as well? Also. Yeah, I think that is what we should be looking at. We should be looking at women in leadership and creating, not just within the corporate environment, but within the political circle. And at that point, we see how they grow within their career. Let me tell you, every party has growth structure. You know, we cannot, because of sentiment, say, oh, we want a woman and bring somebody that cannot drive us to achieve what we want to achieve. No.
So you're basically talking about grassroots politics, starting from the basics.
Absolutely.
But let's also look at the fact that,
and
you know, growing through the cadre. But let's talk about the fact that some political parties would even say, well, women don't have to pay for nomination forms. Women have to pay less. You know, some would even try to make that room, create like the gender
equality.
Gender equality bill, you know, that the Senate or the House of Assembly has refused to pass. One of the things they are talking about is create space, create room, create seats for women. But some people will tell you that if you're talking about equality, then it means that there should be a level playing ground. People or women should be able to buy those forms the way their male counterparts are buying them. You don't have to make things easier for them. What do you have to say about that?
There is equality, there is equity. They are two different things. Equality means that we have equal access to a certain level. You as a woman, you have that equal access to be Nigeria's president, as I have equal access to be Nigeria's president. But in terms of equity, that is when we now look at individual configuration. So as a woman, there are certain things you will need different from what I will need. For example, we don't have quite a number of women within politics. So in order to create equity, we make it easier for the woman to level up. Because if you put them on the same criteria of doing the same thing, definitely you have downplayed the woman's capability.
How so?
How so? Because you see, we don't have much women there. Now, let me ask you this. If they say that you have to buy from for 100 million, 100 million for the man, 100 million for the woman, look at the number of women we have in politics that will be able to afford that 100 million. Do you get my point? Not like we're saying most of them are poor, but again, there's this part of, you know, let's give room for the woman. Are you saying
funding is also one of the problems?
It's not. I'm just using that as an example to create that equity. Do you understand? All we're creating in that equity is to be able to leverage on something. That is what equity is all about. And say that, okay, we're on this pedestal together. Do you get my point? One of the things, again, that I want to strongly believe, that I strongly believe this country should do, even within the Senate, there must be a percentage of women that must be elected into Senate. But
there's a 35% participation that is in the Constitution, which has never been followed.
But unfortunately, again, how many women are coming out to say, I want to take this political position?
But I'm still on that issue of, you know, making things easier for women. It sounds patronizing to me because if you're saying that you deserve a seat right beside a man, then you should be able to make that sacrifice, pay the price. For instance, they talk about the fact that, oh, men go for meetings at night and women cannot do that because they have to keep the home front.
I'm going to get
if you must, he will, how do they say that thing, that he will comes to the table of equity, must come with clean hands and all that. So if you want to win the prize, you must be able to pay the prize, isn't it?
Let me tell you this. If we even have to use that example that you used, where politicians go to have meeting at night, and let me tell you, you have a husband at home, you tell your husband you're going for one political meeting in VI at night, you know, people will start, if your husband trusts you, people will start coming to tell your husband, are you sure that it's political meeting?
That's personal. It's none of their business.
That's some of the things women suffer in politics. I'm being very honest to you. Even in business.
And you know, bad words fly very easily.
Easily. And you know, before you flip it, our reputation is down there. And she's struggling to say, no, it didn't happen. I went for political meeting. XYZ was there. I don't know if you understand.
Well, the end will eventually justify the means, don't you think?
But I think there should be configuration to really support women openly there. But our culture and tradition play a certain role that we should look into. You know, because there are certain cultures and traditions that still believe that the girl child cannot go to school. The girl child should be in the background. I support women rights organizations, a lot I work with, and I love the fact that there's been awareness amongst women to become entrepreneurs, to be socially independent, to start looking at financial independence. The African patriarchal system wants to put the woman in a subjective mode to the man. You know, submission and subservient are not the same thing. But I think we play card of subservient more than submission. You know, which I think the society should start viewing. And that is what will lead us to that equality and equity even in politics.
Indeed, that's a very fine note to leave it now.